All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of BDCRX. Obviously, today we're super excited to have our guest Shane here on the podcast today to talk quite a bit about what it's like to run the sales operation for a 5-store group in the middle of Texas. I'm really excited to learn from Shane and talk with him more about what they do around their internet department. Before we get to you, Shane, Jason, how's everything going for you today?
Everything's going good, man. The government shutdown. I think that's something that we should possibly talk about. But Shannon, I'm interested to see what you say about it and where the current climate is of the car industry. I think we're in a unique spot. So I'm excited to jump in this podcast. But I think what's really up, what's new, is this government shutdown affecting the car industry? And I think we should jump into a topic like that.
Perfect. Well, Shane, before we jump into that, I'm going to ask that question of you. How's your day today?
It's great. It's great. It's a Friday.
Excited. Yeah. Can't be a Friday, and it sounds like you got a fun weekend coming up ahead. Spend some time with some family. It's your birthday this weekend, so happy birthday as well. Thank you. Kind of to Jason's point, do you feel like, at least in your stores, is this government shutdown that we are, I guess, what just got into 2 weeks into, is it affecting the market to you guys?
I think it's made the market a little more uneasy, if that's a word. I think we're in our infancy stages still of it. I think there's some uneasiness with customers making a decision to buy something. But overall, we really haven't seen an effect on good or bad with this shutdown. I will say what we've got. So we've got 5 stores. We've got 3 Stellantis stores, a Ford store, and a Chevy GMC store. The biggest thing that's got us worried right now is this huge fire, and I don't remember where it was at, that caused a lot of damage for Ford, and they've completely shut down Explorer and Expedition because it was really going to affect their F Series, their F-150s. Last year, for the first time ever, F-150 was not the number 1 seller in the United States. They were number 2, and it was up against the Toyota product. I don't remember what it was. But to make a long story short, that fire has really got us. That and the recalls have been a major issue with Ford and Chevy and General Motors.
Let me double up on that question. I know that fact too about the F-150. Do you think economy wise? Because here's the deal too. I'm sure you see the stats from GM Motors. They're down on new cars. Ford's down on new cars, especially Michigan is still clearing a good number. I know that. But coming down, the more south you go, it seems as if the numbers are tapering off. Do you think it's because of the F-150s not being manufactured, so the sales are being lowered? Or do you think it's like maybe there's not enough inventory? But it seems like the lots are filled. So that's why I said, is it the government shutdown? But then I hear some people are like, hey, if Ford store, well, I'll be honest with you. If a Stellantis store is not, having used cars on the ground, like you got to figure your life out, right? But Ford is starting to become that. I don't want to say Mitsubishi because that's a stretch, okay? But CDJR feels almost like we need used to sell new. But do you think the government shutdown or any of that has to do with it, or maybe that fire like with the Ford side?
Well, let me say this. Stellantis is still in the COVID hangover.
Oh yeah.
They still think that they can make a half-ton pickup that's stickers for $75,000 and it's going to sell. I was reading an article from NADA a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. It might have been 3 weeks ago. The average all-in carrying cost of a vehicle, as far as monthly payment, is close to $1,000 a month, $985 a month, I think is what it was. So you start thinking about that, and especially, fellas, we're a little different. We're in towns of Eastland, Texas, Clyde, Texas, Snyder, Texas, Jason, towns that you've never heard of.
Yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Median income, husband and wife put together in Eastland, Texas, is about $4,200 a month, give or take. So you think about that for a second. $1,000 car payment. That's one. What if we want 2? And that's what we've been running up against post-COVID. Is these used car prices? They've settled. They're up. They're down. I mean, it's a very volatile market right now. But this new side, especially on the trucks, which is what we've hung our hat on for, we're celebrating our 20-year anniversary this year, 20 years in
That's
business.
good.
And that's what we've hung our hat on. We have been a truck provider to our local communities for years and years and years. And folks are having a really hard time right now affording that truck. We took a gamble and we ordered over 100 half-ton crew cab Lone Stars V6.
Mm,
V6 that sticker out about 56, 57, and that's a price point
yeah.
that we can get down into the mid to low 40s, and we're selling that truck right now. We're selling it. So
So it's pure price point.
it's price. It's price. People are tight on cash right now. Number one, they're scared to spend their cash. We feel like things are coming down as far as groceries, gas, things like that. But the auto industry is not following suit fast enough, we feel. I see a lot at the end of the tunnel with Stellantis. They're starting to open up some. Number one, they got off EV, which for us,
Thank the
it,
good Lord.
yeah, EV for us was just it was a dream. It was never going to work right now.
Right.
The infrastructure was not there. They got the cart way before the horse on that deal. So they are still talking about EV as a separate line item, if you will, not being the all in be all of what these Ford and General Motors and Stellantis said they were going to do, 2 or 3 years ago. I was at a Ford meeting in Vegas a month ago, and they had all their internal combustion engines coming back on stage. They had one EV. They
There
had
you
one,
go.
which was totally
There you
opposite
go.
of what it was 3 years ago when they spent $50 billion on EV. So I think there's some common sense that's coming back into play with these manufacturers. Number one, but number two is they've got to get their act together with some mid-level SUVs. I would love to see some cars come back on the Stellantis side. Actually, all of them, all the
The
big ones.
Charger. The
The
Charger would
Charger,
be nice.
and it's coming. It's coming, but they're still, we got allocated 2 or 3 of those 2 weeks ago, and they're still in the mid 60s. We don't need a mid 60s car. We need a $30,000 car.
Yeah. Do you think Stellantis will ever do you think they're going to put that V6 back in the Charger and the Challenge? Like, I just think that they messed up. I think there was the biggest blunder of it all, right? Because they went fully electric and it was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Because I thought the Charger and then they need to do a refresh on the Durango. There's a couple of things Stellantis needs to do, but but if you asked me this 5 years ago, I would have told you it's probably one of the strongest brands, which is crazy to say because I felt like it was. The Ram was nice, the TRX, like during that era when the Hemi was going in you know what I mean? It was like, oh my goodness, who doesn't want to get their hands on a Dodge? But it feels like right after COVID, it just tapered.
We've made
It's
lot
funny.
of money through
Is
the
that,
years being a Stellantis dealer, a lot of money. And right now we're not. Thank God for Ford. And thank
as I
God for
hear you
General Motors.
guys, as I hear you guys talk, one thing that really stands out to me, which is just how big of an impact the government has played in the automotive industry over the past 5 years. I mean, from
Mm.
COVID to just in the past year since Trump has been in, rates, tariffs, now even the EV. I would make the argument that the less focus around the EV for these manufacturers is not that they just read the room better. There's less money coming from the government to supplement the distribution and the creation of EVs. I mean, Trump, it's a big thing that he shut down, which is putting less focus in on subsidies of EV makers. And so
Sure.
they're less incentivized now to do that than ever. And when we talk about manufacturing back in America, I think that one of the things that probably does it, I don't hear being talked enough about, which is, in my opinion, the reason why Trump's trying to bring all the manufacturing back is because he knows within 5 years, manufacturing is not going to be done with any people. It'll be done all with the technology, with the AI, with those things. And so having distribution and manufacturing back in America is good. And I think that ultimately that will allow us to bring the prices back down. But so much of the industry, I believe, is just so controlled by what's going on in our political landscape, in what the politics are doing. And I've always looked at each of these individual things in the silo that they're in, and I never just took a second to step back and realize, man, so much of running a business in the automotive side is run by politics. So Shane, you've been doing it for a while. You've been at Full and Waller for how long?
That was a good take, by the way, Matt. That was a good take.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was a really good take.
Yeah. I've been with the company almost 10 years, 9.5 years. I've been in the industry for 25. So
has it always been this? Like, if we just go 5 years, like, I just feel like there's always these big catastrophic things. And I know that media has become a much larger part of the day-to-day life, with social media being there and the traditional media being there and everything else. But has it always been this much of an up and down roller coaster and so tied to these type of catastrophic events? Or is it just more of a more recent thing?
I wouldn't say it's been as tied to the politics side of things as it has been over the past, like you said, 4 or 5 years. I've gone through. We're heavily tied to the oil field. We do a lot of supply for trucks, and more so than that now since COVID is the service and parts department. We've got 18 wheelers that go out to these oil fields and pick up trucks. We bring them back, we service them. Lithia is heavily in San Angelo, Texas, Midland, Texas, which we're a couple hours away from both those towns. They sell a lot of cars and trucks, but they don't do a lot of service. And I worked for Lithia for 9 years. So I knew coming on board when I partnered up with Blake that there was an opportunity there to take some of that service business, which in turn leads to sales.
Right.
When you develop that service and parts relationship where we get it in, we get it fixed right the first time, and we get it done fast. We're not 6 weeks out on a transmission. If we've got parts, we're 72 hours out on a transmission. And so our focus, we spend a lot of money on technicians. We do not lose technicians to the oil field. Our A-techs are making $65 a flag hour. That's how we retain them.
That's really good.
So we that's our business model, is service and parts. And then we feel like sales, above and beyond our normal retail business, we feel like our sales comes with our business link side of things. Once we prove that we can service their fleets, that's when you get some of their sales.
It makes total sense. And I've been in a few of your stores as well, Shane. And I know that one of the things that you guys do really well is the tie to the community. I know that that's a big part of what you do. And I would say probably the biggest thing that you guys do, and probably also something that's required in the type of towns and areas that you're in. I love the fact that you leverage your service side to be your main funnel for the business, which then feeds on the sales side. And Shane, as you know, we are a BDC podcast. That's kind of our specialization here.
Sure.
I love to know right now, how do you utilize an internet department, a BDC department, to be able to drive that service growth that ultimately will then use the drive as a sales technique? I mean, can you share with us a little bit how you do that?
Absolutely. And I want to touch base on the markets that we're in. As I said earlier, they're smaller markets. They're not the most desirable markets for a general manager and his family maybe to want to live in. Nothing against the towns that we do business in. They're great towns. They're great people. But you get I came from Texas Tech University. And I was recruited out of Texas Tech University by Group 1 Automotive. So as we've gone along here, I've got out of my 5 stores, I've got 2 general managers that I recruited out of the university. And so the reason I say that is this: I have to paint the picture when I go and recruit these guys. Whether it's at Texas Tech, whether it's at Abilene Christian University, wherever it's at, you got young men that if they've got a little game to them, they got some competitiveness, they got some smarts to them. Their mindset is, I'm moving to Fort Worth, or I'm moving to Houston, I'm moving to Dallas, and I'm going to live in a high rise, and I'm going to make, a couple $100,000 a year. Let me tell you something, fellas, them kids, they're not getting that right now. Now, I've got 2 kids. I've got one in law school. I've got one that's selling roofs in Florida. He's got a construction business in Florida now. But them kids coming out of college, there wasn't no guarantees. They didn't know what they were going to do. We just went to a recruiting fair at Abilene Christian University, which is now a D1 school, 2 weeks ago. I sent 3 general managers in there, And there was some kids that are going to be graduating in May. There's some that are going to be graduating 2027. But we asked the question, what's your plan? What's your degree? Marketing, business. Some of them had their masters, have no idea what they're going to do. No
Yeah.
idea. So the key to it, I'll get back to your point, your question there, Matt.
Yes.
The key to it is painting the picture, because number one, if you're going to run a store for me, you have to live in the community.
That's good.
There's no hour-long drive. I've tried that. At the end of COVID, I had all these, superpowered general managers, multi-store managers wanting to come on board. They didn't want to move. I tried a couple of them that failed within 90 days. And so we require our general managers to live in their communities. We call it a big fish in a little pond.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, most of our communities, we're the number one taxpayer. Our general managers make more than their doctors, than the lawyers in the local communities. So they're the big fish if they play the game, if they go and join an organization, whatever it is, get involved. And that ties into trust in our communities, because you've got competitive dealers of mine that have gone in these communities. They stay a couple years. No one knows who's running the store. Quite frankly, no one knows who runs the store or owns the store. And so they're in and out. They make, 3 or 4 million a year, but they sell it and make a little money on it, and then they roll on. And when we come in, we do a lot of research, and we make sure it's a fit for us. And when we come in, we require our general managers to get involved. We want their wives going and getting their hair done at the local beauty salon. We want their kids to be involved in the schools. We want to have salespeople that are on the school board, or whatever the case may be. That's how you develop the relationships in these small communities.
That's actually really good.
Before we get to the other part of what I asked you, what's up with the tortillas out there in Texas Tech?
Man, that deal's been going on a long time.
I know, and I've been a sports fan my whole life, and I never heard of the tortillas until this weekend.
I don't remember when it started. It was either right before I went to Tech, which was 1995. So it was mid-90s when that deal started. They cut it out either late 90s, early 2000s, and somewhere along the way, they brought it back. I'm a Tech supporter. I'm not a huge Tech fan, because they're like my Dallas Cowboys. They always let me down.
Oh, boy.
Here we go, ranked in the top 10 for the first time in a long time. We go to Arizona State and lay an egg. So, but it's a distraction. I heard the other day that they're about to stop it completely, because
they banned it. I think they banned it.
Yeah.
All right, so I love that story, and Jason, so I'm going to kick it to you on that, because I would bet, without knowing your book of business perfectly, I would bet you don't work with many stores that have to do what Shane and his team have to do. And I love the well thought out execution of how you need to be integrated into the community to really make it work, and how you can be that big fish in the little pond. Do you work with any stores similar to that, Jason, or is this kind of like something that's maybe a little bit new to you?
I work with stores like that. I wouldn't say Texas. Well, is Hillsboro, Texas different? Do you know the Shane, you know the Mike Terry Automotive Group?
I know the name. Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think they're in Hillsboro. I would have to see where they're at. But yes, I think so. But I think what Shane, honestly, I think your point is actually really good. I actually never heard your point said that way. But if I did run a store in a smaller community, I would ideally, that's a really good play. And if you could execute on that, I could see how, a BDC agent or a salesperson or whoever and whatever can attract a lot of people just because of the community that it's in. So it's kind of like it's your neighborhood dealership almost. You know what I mean? The one thing I would say to that one is, Matt, that's kind of why we have specific agents in specific stores. That's why it's not, hey, this guy's from New York, let's have him call Florida. It's like, there's a bit of a gap. Like, who are you? You don't sound like the guy around the corner, right? That's why for our stores down here in South Florida, it's like, it's hola first before you even say hello. We just go straight to Spanish, and then we'll revert to the English. Because it's like, especially like a Doral store, it's like, they actually get mad. Or Kendall store, they'll get mad that you didn't say like an hola, you know what I mean, in a
You didn't
Spanish
start with
way.
Spanish.
Yeah, you didn't start with Spanish. It's like, where am I calling, right? But I would definitely say that we, as a BDC, if someone's like, if we hire someone from New Jersey, they're hitting the New Jersey stores, they're hitting the New York store. Familiar tones do have that, and I'm Shane. I'm sure there's a little bit of a lingo that your town has that's very specific to it. And maybe if you're from around the area, there's an around the area kind of profile on the tones or how you pronounce the pronunciations of stuff. So I actually think Shane's pretty. I'm just saying from a voice perspective because that's what I
Yeah, that
deal
makes
with now. And the
yeah.
personal perspective, I think that's pretty spot on. I've never heard it before, but I actually think more people should do that. Even in a, I don't. Shane, let me throw this back at you. That could be used in every scenario.
It should be.
I think
Not
it
not
should be in
should
every
not could.
scenario, really.
Should be. Yeah.
Should be in every scenario. It's just that I think because you're like, well, how do we sell more? You guys just went to a really creative place to where like we need to dominate the market, but how? So I guess where people in more of a metro area, they're like, let's just throw the cheapest price on possible. We're going to get people to come in anyways, and we'll flip them on another car. Where you're like, no, well, I don't know how many times I'm going to see this person or how many people are walking through these doors. So we got to make them feel special. And also, we got to service them great so that we can upcharge, when they come through the service department, we can sell them again. So it's just more methodical. Where I guess more metro would be like, yeah, it's, you know what I mean? No, there'll be another person.
Shane, let me ask you this then. I like I said, I know where the store is that you have outside of Abilene, and Abilene's not a very small city. I mean, it's a decent sized city, and you're close enough to Fort Worth that when you priced your cars correctly, you could probably pull in leads from Fort Worth too. I don't know if you're necessarily servicing customers in from Fort Worth very frequently, but at least maybe you could sell them the car. So the question I have for you on an internet department, an internet lead comes in, ballpark at that store outside of Abilene. That's the one I've been to. What percentage of your leads are community-based leads that you've talked to and probably sold them 3 or 4 cars before versus the people that are coming in from the bigger towns, the bigger cities, that new opportunity for a person that isn't necessarily community-based?
I would say it depends on the car.
Okay.
If you've got a specific unit that's it's a one percenter, maybe it's a high demand car, low market day supply, whatever. You never know where that lead's going to come from. But you're what I call 95% of them are going to come from Abilene, like you just said, San Angelo, which is an hour and a half away from us. Sometimes they come from Eastland, which we've got 2 stores in Eastland, but it just depends on, we share all of our used car inventory on all 5 websites. And
Good
so
move.
it can be cumbersome. That car could be sitting in Eastland, Texas, and a customer from Eastland could just by chance land on Clyde's website and Clyde gets the lead. And then we have to transfer the car from Eastland. Customer has to drive to Clyde. It's kind of crazy. But we found that's our best model instead of each store standing on its own when it comes to their pre-owned inventory. And quite frankly, the Stellantis stores, they share their new vehicles online. So it's not a perfect science, fellas. Let me talk about the internet department for just a second. 5
Perfect.
stores in, we're tracking 400 internet leads for the month. That's 5 stores, not just one. That's
stores.
5.
Got it. Yeah.
Pre-COVID, we were somewhere around that 180 to 200 leads per month per store. So I was talking to a buddy of mine that I went through the NADA Academy with this week. He's up in North Carolina. He's got 2 Ford stores up there, and he was complaining about his internet leads just drastically being down. And I'm assuming that it's an industry thing. What we have gone to is tracking four pillars of lead counts. Obviously, it's showroom, phone,
Yeah.
internet, and then any event that we've got going on. We're doing a super sale, if we're sending out flyers, whatever, we're tracking all those. And I'm letting these guys manage that piece. Like my Eastland Dodge store, for instance, he's got a really good grasp. If he's tracking 240 to 250 leads all in on those 4 pillars, they're going to sell 65 to 70 new and used. And his data has been right for the past 2 quarters. And so we're using a gentleman by the name of Matt McKenna. We were on Foundation Direct. Matt's sort of a consultant. We were on Foundation Direct. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Foundation Direct. They really just pick apart all your lead sources. Okay. Gotcha. And show you the metrics. It's a lot of data, which I don't like getting into. I got a couple of general managers that do. They get off on that shit, but I don't. But what they're telling me is that Matt was basically giving them the same data that Foundation did. So we got off Foundation. I got to tell you, we're having a hard time with our SEO and SEM companies.
Who do you tell? I've sold you SEO and SEM in the past. I personally was the one that sold it to you. So who do you guys use now?
We're using Team Velocity. We're using their websites as well as their SEO, SEM. I like Lexi. She's done a really good job for us. I think our websites look good. But what I look for is results, and I'm not seeing the results from those guys right now. I've allowed my my Chevy store to get off of their SEO, SEM, and I've allowed my Ford store to get off. We're starting to see them uptick a little bit. Don't ask me who they're using because I don't know. I can't remember. But we're always tweaking. We're always, we get a lot of promises from the third party providers, Auto Trader, Cars.com, marketing companies. We get a lot of promises. But man, I got to tell you, we're not getting the results. We're not getting the results that we're looking for right now. So,
Jason, let me ask you this. So, and Shane, just to give you an idea, I do manage an outsourced BDC for 13 stores, a large group in California, and our leads are down 40% month over month this month. So that's at 13 different stores. Jason, you have significantly more. Are you seeing the same thing? I think I asked this of you 2 weeks ago, and I think at that point you hadn't seen a huge dip in leads. Since then, now, are you seeing a similar trend to what Shane said in regards to drop? What I've seen, his friend in North Carolina seen. Have you seen that? And if so, do you have a reason why outside of? I think it happened. I've seen it since before the government. I've seen it since the last 2 weeks of September is where I started tracking the dip in lead count. I don't know the correlation, but rates were already higher. There was no updates in tariffs. We talked about the governmental interference. Outside of people maybe just waiting till the end of the year thinking there's going to be better prices, I don't know what else is causing it. And the team I work with, the company I work with, doesn't have answers yet either. I don't know if Jason, if you've seen it, and if so, if you have answers on why.
I think right now, it goes back to Shane's original point we were talking about. I think the pricings on vehicles are just really high right now. I think what people are paying, I think we're paying the price of COVID, of the cars that we had at 10, 11% interest rate when we were selling the cars over sticker. I just think the industry overall did some injustice, unfortunately. And I think now we're just suffering from it. Yeah, it's going to be really hard to get out of a car now. Now we're still going to get our typical buyers where their leases, people get new cars. But I think it's that guy that usually upgrades every 3 years. He's just holding it on a little bit longer. The payment's been suffocating him for a long time, and he doesn't want to upgrade like he usually does. That's just what I see. So the lead volume goes down there. And I think because what Shane was saying, it was the prices of cars are significantly higher. The price of a car is more than what it was before. The interest rates are higher, and we still expect the same result. We all got to wake up and smell some coffee here. We got to start figuring out what we've like. My best stores that sell the most cars don't feel it because they have a lot of used cars on the ground that are priced super aggressively and a really great number. 20,000, 18,000, 21,000, 15,000. Yeah, hey, it's got a lot of miles in it, but I need to get to A to B. People sometimes are in survival mode. Does it have AC? Does it have good tires? Hey, is it below 100,000? That's really that's what's getting a lot of leads. Shane, I'll do you one here. I have a guy named Michael Martin, which I'm going to talk a little bit about him just to kind of give him some airspace. He is a guy that I use for my stores. I was on a call yesterday with a group, and they're like, "Hey, man, I got 1,000 leads in 3 months. What's going on?" And I'm like, well, number one, 400 of those leads are GM leads. I'm letting you know right now, those are not going to take you anywhere. We're not getting to the promised land of GM leads are the leads. And GM, I'm sorry, but we're not going to get to where a dealer really wants to be. Car gurus, Auto Trader, the spotlights, all that's cool, sexy, and I get it. But the reality is if the SEO and SEM is not at tip-top shape, to be aggressive in the areas you need to be in, if you're on the carousel, specific things like that, if you're not going to win. The second piece is if your cars are not priced to market, just forget it. It doesn't matter what you do. No one's clicking on your stuff anyways. So if you have really aggressive pricing from cars to $18,500 to $22,000 right now, you will get an abundant amount more leads. If the SEO, SEM is done right, you're on the carousel, you will naturally drive more business to your gurus, to your auto trader, because gurus is going to be in very good deal. You'll be able to see that through V Auto if that's what you use. But my guy, Michael Martin, he's the guy like that goes on the phone to like where you're like, these guys get off on that, where he's like, he gets off on that. But instead of the marketing company telling you one thing, he'd be like, hey, listen, that's all cool. Can I see it though? And the marketing company's like, wait, you want to see what? It's like, let me see how much you're spending in the budget. Let me pull up the numbers here. Because you say month after month that my people are coming to my websites up, but why am I not seeing the result? You're not making sense to me. What's going on? So I know I'm hitting two different sides to the coin. But one, I believe that's what the lead volume is. I think that there's some stores, Matt, that are not affected at all. Zero effect. But if you ask me what cars they're selling, 18.5 to 22.5. They're fine, bro. They're getting all the
Get the right
leads. They're
car.
getting all the juice and they're priced right. They're super aggressive, and yeah, they're about $500 to $1,000 below. And I know they're bumping them when they get there. I know it. We know it. I can see it. They're like, just bring them in. That's the attitude, obviously, because they're not telling me to be picky about it. So I know their mindset. However, they're still selling 350 units.
It's interesting. You know, it's one feedback I've given to some of the general managers I work, which is if we're not seeing 5% of your leads coming in from outside of your backyard, you don't have the right cars and you don't have the right price.
Mm-hmm.
And no, once
Yeah.
again, the stores I'm working in are in more major metro areas. And so, but if they're not coming in from more than an hour away, if they're not all within, like if every one of your leads is in 30 minutes to an hour, like you don't have the right cars and you don't have the right price. But then every once in a while, one of my employees will be like, I just got this lead for California from Chicago. And I'm like, what's the car? What makes that car special? Why would somebody from Chicago submit a lead on this car in California? It's either it's a very, very unique inventory that is not able to be found, maybe 2 or 3 of them across the country available, or it's so aggressively priced that somebody would be willing to buy it remotely and ship it to them. Outside of that, it's a mistake. Like outside of that, it's a mistake. So do you pay attention to that, Shane? Like, is that something you look for? Is like, if I'm not getting enough leads from the DFW area, I might not have the right cars at the right price. Jason,
Okay, hold on. Yeah. No, and Shen, I'm also. I don't know if you're agreeing with me or disagreeing because I seen you writing. I know Matt had that question, but I'm curious on your side because it means a lot to me because I'm not in your stores. Do you believe what I'm saying to you to be like have validity behind it? Because I'm just a BDC guy. I'm just a marketer. Would you like, from my perspective, me and you were in a board meeting? Would you agree to what I'm saying, or would you like where would you stand with it?
Well, we go by this phrase: if I don't have the car, I can't sell the car.
Mm.
If I ain't got it, I can't sell it. So this is going to sound like an excuse, but there's several things that, and I'm agreeing with 100% of what you guys are saying. But in our little, I call it our little world, where we're several hours from a metro, we're several hours from an auction, DFW, San Antonio, Houston. We buy cars online. Well, and we're paying all the money. Well, it's 7 to 10 days before that car gets to me. And then I've got to get the car reconditioned. And so
Reconditioned.
I'm about day 15, 14, 15 before I'm ever able to put that car. Now it's on the market day 1 once it hits my lot. And that's when I let my guys start their clock. We're on a strict 60-day turn. I let them start the clock whenever it lands on their lot, not when we buy it. But that doesn't mean that market day supply. That doesn't mean that market day supply is not changing immediately when we buy that car, and that's where, our our margins on what we call purchase units, which is auction cars, our margins are very, very, very slim, very slim. It's a checkpoint. We get about $1,500-$1,600 in the shop. That's our average RO on a purchase unit. It's just we sell another car and hopefully we take in another trade that we own better. It's there. I can market it immediately. That's where we're at. We are not experts by any means when it comes to buying vehicles from the auction. And the main thing is that piece right there. It just takes a damn long to get the thing. And
I
when you
never
get
thought
it,
about it that way. I never thought about
yeah,
15 days is the first time it hits a lot. I guess that would, because now you got to wait. Yeah, that's time under tension. Yeah, that's a lot of
that
money
was
just sitting out, purchasing the car. Yeah,
that
financing
was
part,
that
floor
was
plan.
1 week, and that car is already losing money
Yeah.
above and beyond what you put in it to recondition it and to get it right. That thing's losing money from what you paid for at ACV. That thing's already losing money. So time is
So
of the
basically,
essence.
right. So
Go ahead.
basically what I said is like, hey, good take, but yo, there's a whole like good take, Jason. You sound cool, but I also sound uneducated because the part would be, do you know how hard it is to do what you just said? Like, yeah, it sounds good when you're rolling it off your tongue, but hey, do you know how hard it is to actually do what you just said, to recondition the vehicle, to get them here, to find a used car manager that's a tip top shape, knows what the market wants. Yeah, maybe you're right, and maybe I
It's
look at it like that should
Shane.
be easy, but
It's challenging. Okay, I've worked for Van Tile, Toyota Dallas. Matt, I work for Toyota. Darren Dortch, he and I go way back.
Hmm.
I've worked for Lithia. I've worked for Group One. And so when I came on board with Blake as a partner, as a general manager, just the Clyde location right outside of Abilene, I came in thinking, man, this is going to be a cakewalk. Because I've done the
mm,
800 unit a month stores. I've done the 300 to 500 a month stores, and getting to 100 in Clyde, Texas, I thought would be a cakewalk. And we got there, but it was not easy. You got less
mm,
people. You got half of the office staff that you would normally want in a bigger store. You got 7 or 8 salespeople trying to sell 100 a month. You got one sales manager. If you're solid, I'll let you have two. You got a good F&I guy that's also helping out as a sales manager, closer, things like that. So
mm.
some of our general managers that are partners in our stores, there's times if the sales manager's not cutting it, that general manager's a glorified
Closer.
GSM. He's penciling,
Yeah, he's a
he's
closer.
penciling deals, he's closing.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
my point to what you said, you're not wrong, and that did make sense to me because I've been there and I've done that. We don't sell enough new to take in enough trades that we need, so therefore we have to go out and buy cars. But that's not our money maker. That's not our money maker. Our money maker is trucks and half ton trucks, and where we can get in a good half ton trade that's that now late high 30s, low 40s, where we can get a decent payment for a customer on a good used truck. It's still tough.
Is an
It's still
ideal market for you guys, Shane? I mean, I think I kind of heard you mention this earlier. Like, I know that you guys work with a lot of the oil companies
Mhm.
on being willing to service them, but I mean, obviously, do you guys work on fleet of sales too, like fleet sales, to where you get that big oil company who's maybe buying a couple of cars a year, that they're coming to you for that, and because they're servicing with you, they're buying from you as well, and that's kind of maybe the biggest scaling opportunity, is just getting more fleet-based business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was our model for years and years pre-COVID. Once COVID hit, we could not get the inventory to supply these oil field companies.
Hmm.
And that's where Enterprise came in. Enterprise was able to get the inventory because they were tied to Ford, they were tied to Stellantis. And so a lot of these smaller, medium-sized, bigger oil field companies, they went to where they could get the product, and we lost a lot of business during that. Now we are starting to back up some of that business. Number one, because Enterprise is a pain in the ass to deal with, and these oil field companies don't like dealing with. They're not dealing with a person; they're
Yeah.
dealing with an email.
The same
They
thing
don't know
you
who's.
offer to your community, you offer to the company.
That's
Like,
exactly
instead of
right.
buying from that big company inside of DFW, that you're just another number. They get that personal touch that you offer your community. So it makes total sense to me.
Our guys have gotten pretty good with track leasing through Ally.
Hmm.
We floor with Ally, so they give us some really good rates. And I got to tell you, when you dial in on that deal, you can beat an Enterprise proposal very very quick. And we're already servicing those trucks anyway,
Right.
and we're already servicing them anyway. So that what you were talking about a while ago, Matt, 100% that was our model. But fellas, car dealers are very uh, we can make adjustments really quick. I've
Yeah.
lived through 2 oil field crashes, actually 3. We lived through a bank foreclosures, all the stuff back in the 08, 09, which rolled into
Yeah.
2010, cash for clunkers, all that. We just make
Yeah.
adjustments. We may be
COVID.
in
I
a
mean, what
pinch.
was the worst one out of all those that you just mentioned? What was the one that was the hardest to get through?
That was the one where I thought we were going to go bankrupt.
Which one? COVID?
No, sir. No, COVID
Oh,
was the best business we ever had.
yeah.
We'll never have. Let me tell you something. We will never have business like we did with COVID.
Because of margins, right?
We weren't selling. We're taking orders.
Okay.
We were Burger
Yeah.
King. You
Yeah.
want fries with that? You know what I mean? We
So
were not taking orders, which in turn, what I call the COVID hangover is this: you got lazy sales managers that don't want to go back and do the work anymore. You got salespeople that we hired during COVID that do not know how to sell. They know how to answer the phone. Yes, I've got it. Will you pay MSRP? Yes, I'll hold it for you for an hour. That was our sales pitch. That was how we were selling, and we were making $5,000 a rep, netting more money than we'll never see those days again. So let me tell you something. We have had 100% turnover in every single store that we've got, from the general manager position to the GSM to the sales manager. And I bet if I've counted across all 5 stores, we may have 4, 5, maybe 6 salespeople that were there with us pre-COVID.
Because you had to the bad habits were created and you couldn't overcome it.
yeah. So Matt, that's where when we were talking about the shutdown and everything, or not the shutdown, or where everything's at. I just think we're living in the cool down. It was so high, that high, like it's the market, it's crypto, it's anything. The market was so hot. Like even when I was doing this, because I'm a COVID baby, so I started my company in COVID, and there was a point where the dealers were like, "I don't need a BDC," and I'm like, "What do you mean? Like what are we talking about?" It's like Jay, I mean, I want to pay you, and the thing is, I can. It's just like I don't even.
You don't
First
need
of
to
all,
right now.
I have 5 new cars in the ground. Like, and to be honest with you, I got 20 on the way, and I sold them all. Like, what are you here for? Like, to pick the phone up? I mean, I'll pay you half the price until you can stick around. But now it's changed. And then after the 2 years, it changed, and everyone's like, we need a BDC now because we got to recall back out the leads. And so then, boom, my business took straight off after maybe 2 years after COVID
Sure.
was settled. But now it's like back
Absolutely.
here, like, let me even out. So it shot up. And I think right now is that even point. But it feels like the even isn't even. It's below the standard of where it was before COVID. There's not enough leads anymore. I don't think the lead volume is anywhere close to what it was on an average 6 years ago. 7 years. It was not. It was way
Yeah.
higher. Way higher. I mean, some stores could have thousands
Makes
of
total sense.
leads. Now they only have 1,500 or 1,000 leads. Well, I'm talking 2,200, which then in return for a business like me, which is the same as them, where COVID was a cheap period for me, right? But before COVID, when I had it, or when we were starting, I had so much more room for improvement. So if I charge per opportunity to you, hey, I charge $10 an internet lead. Well, hey, I got 1,000 of them. Well, that's a 10 grand store for a guy like me. Let's just say that's the numbers, right?
Sure.
Well, now I talk to the store. I got 500 leads. It's like, what are you talking about? That's impossible. Yeah, I only got 500.
Mm-hmm.
So now the amount of money that even I make as a vendor has gone down, and I can tell you that from the deals I make today. The deals I make today are far less than the deals I made 2 years ago. Far less.
Sure.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. And especially if you're seeing the same drop in active. I mean, and my structure is similar. I actually consulted with Jason on how to build my comp structure when I work with the client that I work with. And we're on, we're on a per lead basis. And yeah, I was talking to my managers this week and I'm like, hey, newsflash, our profit is going to be significantly less this next 30 days.
Hmm.
Like, just be prepared for that. Like, it's going to be a lean month. All right, so we got
Yeah.
about maybe 10 more minutes. And Shane, I want to provide as much value to you as possible. Now,
Sure.
in your store, you and I talked about it. You don't have a BDC. I understand now better why you don't have a BDC. You guys run an internet department. Now, let's just kind of lay the framework. Internet department, is it typically one guy, 2 guys? Is it one internet department that controls all 5 stores? What's the framework of that?
We've got 3 stores that have an internet manager.
Okay.
And if it was
Okay.
my preference, all five would have an internet manager. And let me explain to you why. An internet manager is normally someone that's got the gift of gab. They're pretty good on the phone. They may not be the best closer, but there's someone that you can develop and you can groom. We monitor our internet leads. We track them very, very seriously. Um, but when I was running Clyde, for example, I always had an internet manager that desked very close to where my office was, because what I wanted my internet manager to do was to learn eLeads, which is our CRM. I wanted him to be able eventually to send out that first pencil in under 2 minutes when we get that lead. I wanted that customer, if it was on a specific VIN, specific stock number, I wanted numbers in front of that. No payments, just matching price of what's online, tax, title, and license, our information, boom, it's there immediately, as soon as we possibly can. So that internet manager starting getting better working in the CRM. And then the next thing you know, I've got the internet manager sending out credit applications and pulling credit. And then I got that internet manager later on down the road submitting credit into Route 1 and working with the banks. And the next thing you know, you got an F&I guy
Oh wow.
along with the pretty solid sales manager. 5 stores, 3 guys running my stores, started selling, and then went through the internet side of things. So that's the
400.
reason. That's my why on why I would rather these guys have a specific person, one throat to choke, if you will, in each store, because it's a developmental period for those guys. It's a developmental
The
period.
big challenge I've seen, and Jason, I'm gonna come to you for this. The big challenge I've seen in that scenario, Shane, is I've seen that when you have that one person handling throat to choke, is they tend to not be able to sometimes be as reactionary as that all indications would say you need to be in an internet department or handling lead management. I know that for the team I manage, the biggest statistic we focus on is connection rate. And the best way to get a connection is to get in contact with that customer in under 3 minutes. And almost all the data I've seen says that if you let that lead sit for more than 5 minutes without getting a connection, 60% of those customers are gone just because you didn't get to them fast enough. Now, that might be in my city versus your city might be a little bit more willing to be slow. But
I'm right there
when
with
you
you.
have somebody carrying all those hats, it's hard to be able to pay that close of attention. So where we've seen our service work, and I think Jason has seen the same thing, is when you have that really, really sharp internet director in there, that guy that can wear everything from the lead to the close of the internet department, have that specialization, then you supplement in a team that can sit right beneath that person to make sure that you're having the conversations, getting to them quickly. And the thing that I think most internet departments struggle with, because they have so many things they do, is the long-term follow-up. So Jason, that's kind of really where you would say, if you were to work with a store like Shane, who has that guy in 3 of his 5 stores, where you would supplement would be on the front end, the quickness potentially, and then really on the back end, right? Or correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think the first of all, what Shane has is ideal. It's perfect. I think from a BDC, if you were looking at me for advice, I would probably say you're one person off for each store, or a team, or not, I wouldn't say a team, or one person off for each store. And what that person would be is like, how fast can they get to the lead? So if that other guy's desking a deal, the lead comes in, he's automatically on it, serves it up, gets it warm and ready. And then that manager calls the lead. Hey, I see that you're talking to Matt. He said that you may be interested in this vehicle. I see you have an appointment today at 2:00. Hey, just to let you know, I could probably get a quick pencil in right now and show you what the numbers are. If you give me 15, 20 minutes, let me get some of your information and we can go from there. So that person may be able to get more people on the hook instead of that one person. Okay, well, I had such a busy Monday, but and Sunday, Monday leads, and then it's Monday 3:00, but I got 2 solid ones, but it's like there was 6 other leads that came in, and maybe we didn't call them enough, so we only got in contact with 2. We should have been in contact with 3. So I think that for the amount of leads you have the right structure. My only thing would just be if you added one more piece. It doesn't have to be an expensive person either. I don't think where an expense is huge. I think it's actually a small expense. would actually run a.
Would you, even if they were handling in-house, would you just be like one single person that kind of floats between all 5 stores, Jason? Or would you have it be one person in each store? And then Shane, I'll get your perspective on it.
Sure.
I would be a minor. It'd be a minor, like one person per store. But where Shane could back up and say this, well, I have a really strong sales agents or sales agents that get on top of the leads to do it. And based on with his lead count, it could run that way pretty strong. And for it, if his GMs, if Shane's GMs are as strong as he sounds in terms of structure and identity, he has a really solid team. On the later follow up, Shane, I'm gonna because I know you want to piggyback maybe off what I said and challenge what I said, which I hope you do. Do you believe right now AI would so hold that thought where we're at so you can challenge if you have something on that play. Later follow up, Matt ended with it, right? To where I would say this. I think later follow up should never be done by a human being anymore. It should be done with AI. I'm at that point of it. If the lead's 16, if the lead's 18 days old, let's just say 20 days old, I think an AI email, AI text message, and an AI voice is now ready for that opportunity. And we should stay in the close quarters of a 1 through 20, hammer it down, build urgency, build value, build demand, and ultimately set the appointment. If not, a $2,000 AI unit could sets you free right there. You know, now you have nothing to worry about. You know, your customers being contacted, email, text, a little bit of voice over API, voice over phone. That would be the perfect setup if I was Shane. And if he hired me as a BDC manager, that's what I would do immediately, like day one.
Good point.
Shane, what are your thoughts?
Going back to internet manager with a couple of guys underneath him, 100% agree. Done it. Pre-COVID, had 2 stores getting somewhere between 300 and 325 leads each per month. Right. We had an internet manager. They had 3 salespeople underneath them. And their pay was not much different. Those 3 was not much different than the normal salesperson. We gave them a little bonus if they got to an 18% closing ratio, which I'm going to ask you guys that question here in a second, what the average is now as far as what we should be looking at as far as closing percentages. But guys, when I've got a store that's getting 45 to 50 leads a month, it's a good test for me if that internet manager can handle those. And if he can, that really tells me I've got something special. If he can't, that tells me he's probably not going to be able to manage a full team for me. 100 deals a month, if you will. Yep. So it just really depends on the store, how many leads we're getting. I 100% agree. I would love to have an internet manager in every store in a different office with 5 or 6, salespeople underneath them and make that their own entity.
Yeah.
Clyde, Matt, have you been in our new store in Clyde yet? Right outside, I believe, the Brandon facility.
I've been to a store in Clyde. I don't know if it was a new store. I don't.
It was probably old.
Probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, that was it was an old parts warehouse.
Okay.
And it was unique, but now we built a new $5 million location there. And the reason I bring that up is because behind the sales desk, there is a huge room with 5 desks, with computers, with phones, and a big desk up at the front, sort of the sales desk. That was my vision.
Yeah.
That was the vision because I wanted to have our internet department back there, not only doing internet sales, internet leads, but also BDC for our service and parts business. We just we don't have the volume right now.
Matt, honestly, Shane's like pretty spot on. If the dealership's getting 100 leads, one guy can handle it, and if he's good, I would guess Shane, I'm going to throw this out there. I'm just thinking this is not a challenge to you. I'm just saying if the way you're speaking is by the way, you're very strong, right? You come off very strong, right? So I would say that your closing ratios right now is probably 15 to 18%. Because if you have one person that can close the deal start to finish, he just needs to get 15, 20 deals on 100 leads. Am I right to say that? Or am I wrong? Or is or has it gone down because of that?
No, we're 5 stores. Our average is somewhere between 17 and 18%. We've got one store, they'll consistently be in the mid-20s. Our Chevy store, Guy's not as strong. I hope my people don't, if I share this with my people. But he does. He's got some growth. But let me tell you something. He knows that.
Okay, good.
He
Good.
knows that. The guy's
That's
got
good.
the gift of gab. He's a good closer. But we are struggling. We're around that 11 to 12% closing ratio in that store, and that's the store that's getting the 45 to 50 leads. And so that's our low hanging fruit right there.
Yeah, if he's watching, it could be a volume thing, brother. Just make sure the marketing is good. Stay on the phones, crush those leads. Don't stop calling. Don't stop emailing. Don't stop texting. It's an effort game. I promise you, it's an effort game. But yeah, Matt, I could tell his closing ratio is going to be high with the amount of leads, the amount of people, and it seems as if when if he's a community guy. I'm just thinking of the way he's
Yeah, I was gonna
hiring,
say
what
the
he's
community
doing.
tie is gonna.
Yeah, it's just it all flows. He's doing it the right way. But I wish you got more leads though.
Well,
Me and you
well,
both.
I've since we've been on here, Shane. Just so you know, and this is a favor for you for being on here. I put a LinkedIn post on my LinkedIn, and keep in mind, I've used to run the sales organization at Dealer On. I was a vice president of sales at Team Velocity. I was at a lot of these companies that do SEO and website in the past. I have no affiliation with any of those companies any longer, but I put out there and said, who's the best at SEO and SEM right now? Who is it and why? And so I will get some feedback on you, and I'll shoot you what I find, and what you do with it's up to you if you want to seek that. It sounds like maybe you've already come up with a solution at maybe one or two of your stores, which is great. Last question I'll ask you. It looks like we maybe just lost Jason for a second. Hopefully he'll pop back on. What was your thought around at your store in your community, AI integrating into the long-term follow-up? I didn't get your perspective on that. Some stores are really into it. Some people are not because you're so community-based. I don't know if that's a deterrent or a benefit. What are your thoughts on that?
We feel like as a company that it's the future of our industry in some pockets.
Sure.
Okay, not all in, some
Right.
pockets. We do car deals with a handshake. Now, obviously, there's got to be contract signed, especially if they're financing it. There's got to be contract signed, paperwork done. But you come into my store and you tell me you want to be, $10,000 trade difference on a 3/4 ton Ram pickup. It's a handshake. That's where I'm going to. If I say yes, that's what's going to happen. Whether I mess up, whether I don't. If we have a bad price on the internet, that's the wrong price. If we're $15,000 off because one of our third-party companies made a mistake, guess what I'm doing? I'm honoring that price.
Of course.
We will honor that. So to answer your question, my guys are much more well-versed. Some of them are, and when I say my guys, my general managers with AI, with this Chat GPT or Elemental P, whatever it is. My wife loves taking pictures and then putting it in there and letting them dance and all this kind of stuff. I don't deal with it that much. I part of a General Motors 20 group I was in. They were talking about a BDC that had follow up and setting appointments for service using an AI an assistant, and I just haven't been able to wrap my heads around that yet. Once again, we're smaller pockets. It sounds like I'm making an excuse, but we got folks that want to talk to someone and that we have relationships with. They know when they call the Chevy store that they're going to pick up, they're going to talk to Kyle, and he's going to set their appointment for their oil change, or they're going to talk to Shane or whoever it is. We've developed those relationships. So for us, we're not saying that it's never going to go there for us, but what I am saying is I don't feel like we're quite there yet, and I don't have enough data to really wrap my head around it.
And I'll just give you my perspective as we kind of wrap up here. And somehow Jason's back, but he's now turned sideways for me. I don't know if he's sideways for you too, but it's a really nice little trick he's got going on. I've spoken to probably 20 different companies over the past 6 months who have told me they're reinventing how AI will be used in automotive. I've seen some that can really do it well from a texting and email side. I've only seen a few that can do it well from a voice side. And I think there's 3 stages of this process, Shane. I think there's stage 1 of voice text, just replacing your people doing texting and email. I think you could put that into your business today and your customers would not know the difference. There's automations and everything that it would still feel like it's coming from your team, just not. I think there's a world where you can also add in after hours AI for appointment setting and answering of calls. I set up a doctor's appointment with a doctor this weekend. I called on Sunday. The AI was able to answer all of my questions. I knew I was talking to AI, so it was not trying to convince that, but I knew I was also calling on a Sunday and they likely weren't going to be there, but I had a few questions. The AI was able to answer it, send me a link, scheduled an appointment, confirmed the appointment, did everything for me without the doctor's involvement in that sense. And I think that for right now, dealerships can do that. What I have not seen yet today, but I've got a couple of companies, actually got a meeting in an hour with a company who's told me they've got the voice outreach side figured out. And I think that right now is not ready, but I think in the next 6 to 12 months, it could be ready. But I think that from a long-term follow-up perspective, you could absolutely say, instead of my guys who I know aren't going to do follow-up after 14 days, I put it into an automation to where texts and emails are going out. And then when they respond, then my guys kick back in. That is something that you could do to make sure those balls aren't being dropped. And that technology is available and ready and working today. So
sure. Listen, I feel like this AI piece it's almost as revolutionary as the internet.
100%. Yeah. And it's scary how fast it's evolving too.
I spend a lot of times at our main location is in Clyde, right outside Abilene. So I spend a lot of time in Abilene at a DoubleTree hotel. And I don't know if you know this, but they're building the biggest data center in the world in Abilene, Texas. And the amount of people that I've had a couple of drinks with, just listening to how big this is going to be and what's coming next, man, it's really exciting times. It really is. And by no means are we closed-minded to AI. I want us to be as far ahead as the competition as we possibly can be. And I know that's the direction that we're going. So I agree with everything that you said there.
Perfect. All right. So, guys, for all of you listening, obviously, if you're anywhere in Texas and want to buy a car, check Shane out. Shane, first off, I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's Friday. We're close to the end of the month. So giving us the time today to talk. I'm going to find out the answers for you on what I said. I'm going to let you know the outcome. I'm interested to know myself who's kicking ass on the SEO and SEM side. And, if there's anything you do with it, great. If not, it's all good. Let's just keep
and I may have someone, and I may have someone for you too. Well, I guess we'll talk off here, but I think I got someone pretty solid for you, brother.
Awesome. Thank you.
So anybody that's listening, please like, comment, share, create the conversations. Anything that you heard me say or Jason or Shane say that you disagree with, get the conversation going in the comments. Until next time, I appreciate everybody for watching. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you.
Peace.